We've all seen it. Teams are just constantly busy, dashboards are glowing, reports are flying everywhere, but you kind of get this nagging feeling in the back of your head. Does any of this actually matter? Well, it turns out there's this huge disconnect between just doing work and creating real value. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty uncomfortable truth. A ton of that hard work we see is basically going nowhere.
And I'm not talking about a small amount. Look at this number, 41%. I mean, just let that sink in. Nearly half of all the effort, all that careful analysis, all the data crunching, all the late nights building reports never, ever influences a single business decision. It just vanishes into thin air.
And there's a perfect term for this. It's called measurement theater. It's when the work looks really productive, But it's all just a performance. It's activity for the sake of activity, not for making an impact. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that theater and figure out how to make our work actually count for something.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the trap of fake work. Then, we're going to shift our mindset to focus everything on decisions. After that, we'll get into some really practical tools for tracking value, then figure out how to find our North Star, and finally, we'll put it all together with something called the value flywheel. Let's get started.
Okay, first up, fake work. You know the feeling, right? Everyone is sprinting around, calendars are completely packed, but if you stop for a second and ask, hey, what do we actually accomplish for the business? All you get is crickets. Now, this isn't about people being lazy. It's about being incredibly busy on stuff that is totally disconnected from what actually matters.
And if you thought that 41% was bad, get this, 68%. That's the percentage of evaluation teams who say they have no clear traceable line between what they do every day and the company's bottom line. Think about that. That's 2/3 of teams who are basically flying blind, just crossing their fingers and hoping their work makes a difference.
This whole problem has a name. It's called the activity trap. It's that state where the illusion of productivity, the endless meetings, the slick-looking reports, completely hides the fact that zero real value is being created. The dashboards can look fantastic, but nothing actually changes because of them.
So, we've put a name to the enemy. Now, how do we fix it? Well, it all kicks off with a really simple, but honestly, a profound mental shift. We have to stop focusing on the act of evaluation and start obsessing over the outcome of a decision.
And the solution is a framework called the Eval.QA pipeline. The idea behind it is just beautifully simple. Every single bit of analysis you do must be tied to a specific, named decision. If you can't say what decision the work is for, you probably shouldn't be doing it, period. So here's how this pipeline works, in 4 really clear steps. First, you state the decision right up front, something like, should we launch this new feature or not? Second, you work backward from there to figure out the exact information you need to make that call. Third, you design your evaluation to get only that information, nothing more. And finally, number 4, you plan the action. You know exactly what you'll do if the answer is yes, and exactly what you'll do if it's no.
See, this whole process helps you avoid something called a dead-end eval. That's when you generate a bunch of data that might be kind of interesting, but since it's not tied to any decision, nothing happens. It's just expensive paperwork. So the question you always have to ask is, who is going to do what with this information?
Okay, so the mindset is shifting. That's great. Now we need some tools to really put this into practice. It's time to take this fuzzy idea of value and make it something you can actually see and track and talk about with your team.
The first tool is actually a mental model, value mapping. It's all about forcing yourself to reprioritize. You stop focusing on what's just technically cool or interesting, and you start focusing on what's critical for the business. Ask yourself this: what's the actual cost to the company if we get this decision wrong? Then you match your effort to the stakes. A huge, high-stakes decision, it gets a super rigorous evaluation. A small, low-stakes one, you get a quick and dirty analysis and move on.
Now, this next tool, honestly, this can be a real game changer. It's called the Decision Journal, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a simple log of every important decision your team makes. What did you decide and why? What data did you lean on? What did you think was going to happen? And, maybe most importantly, what actually happened?
And look, it does not have to be complicated at all. A simple table, like this one, tracking the decision, the data you used, and the outcome, that's all you need to get started. This creates an incredible feedback loop for learning, and it gives you a concrete record of your impact. It's how you stop guessing and start building a systematic process for getting better.
Okay, so you're focusing on decisions, you're tracking them. Now you need to bring all that effort together around a single guiding light, what we call a North Star metric.
This is not about building another crowded dashboard with a million charts. It's about finding the one number that truly defines success for your team.
So I want you to stop and ask yourself this about your own work. What is the one metric that truly represents success? And not a technical one, but one that reflects real business or user value. If you could only move one number, just one, which one would have the biggest impact?
Whatever that is for you, that is your North Star metric. It's the single measure that really links up with business outcomes like revenue or customer happiness. It's the number that aligns everyone. When that number goes up, you know you're winning. When it goes down, it's all hands on deck. It gives everyone a shared purpose.
Let's make this a little more concrete with a few examples. So for customer service AI, a great North Star could be the issue resolution rate. For a research tool, maybe it's the percentage of tasks that need no human correction. Or for, say, a content moderation system, it might be how often the AI agrees with a human expert. You see? These are all tangible, value-driven metrics.
All right, let's bring this all home. When you combine this decision-focused pipeline with the right tools and a clear North Star metric, something pretty incredible starts to happen. You stop being seen as just a cost center and you become an essential partner. You start to build what we call the value flywheel.
This really gets to the heart of the culture shift you're aiming for. You can either be Eval as overhead, where you're constantly pushing reports at people who aren't really asking for them, or you can become Eval as infrastructure, where other teams start pulling you into their meetings, asking for your insights before they make a big decision. That's when you know you've made it.
And here's how that flywheel starts spinning. Your insights lead to a good decision. That decision creates visible, measurable value for the company. That success makes other teams want your help too, and that demand lets you influence even more important decisions. It becomes this self-reinforcing loop that just keeps building momentum.
You know, the real key to spinning this flywheel is storytelling. A dashboard full of numbers, it's easy to ignore, easy to forget. But a story sticks with you. Being able to say, our analysis caught a major flaw, we stopped a bad launch, and the fix boosted user satisfaction by 15%, that is a story that proves your value in a way no chart ever could.
So, let's wrap this up with your action plan. Here's what you can do. First, audit your current work. For every single task, ask yourself, what decision does this inform? If you don't have an answer, you should question why you're doing it. Second, build that value map to prioritize your efforts. Third, start that decision journal, even if it's super simple. And finally, get your team in a room and agree on your North Star metric.
And that leaves us with one last, really crucial question to think about. I want you to take a hard look at what you and your team are doing every day. Are you just busy, caught in the measurement theater and the activity trap? Or are you truly, demonstrably creating value? Because the answer to that question, well, it changes everything.